The Endless Golf Podcast, brought to you by Toyota.
And welcome into another edition of the Endless Golf Podcast presented by Toyota. Join me today from Celtic Nations Contracting are two dear friends, John Lynch and Damian McAllister. And guys, welcome to the podcast.
Bobby, thanks very much.
Hey, great to see
Bobby,
you guys, man.
good to
As
see you
always,
again.
you know what? We get to spend some time on the golf course together, and you guys have been so busy the last couple of years, not been playing a lot of golf. But we're going to get into golf in just a little bit. But I want to throw some flowers your way, and some of the additions that you've made to the golf course right here at Ocean City Golf Club are just tremendous. You redid the clubhouse, I guess it was been 2 years ago now. And then this year, the new addition to the grill outside, really just a great addition. And just so proud of the work you've done here. It really has added to this golf club.
I appreciate it, Bobby, and you're always good for giving us a plug whenever you can. We've been fortunate down here to, meet a lot of people, and it's opened a lot of doors for us as a company. And the inside was fun to do. The outside bar was a treat. And the only problem is you have to watch everybody teeing off.
I was going to say, yeah, that's the trouble.
Well, you know what's amazing, John? One of the things that I found, and you also did some work at the Glen Riddle Golf Club. You added the Triple Crown Room, and whether it's the Triple Crown Room at Glen Riddle, the inside here, and really the outside addition, it really fits the golf club. This grill area you put out here, it looks like it's been here forever.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we try to do with Glen Riddle as well. Just kind of, they have their certain themes, Glen Riddle does, in Ocean City. So we try to, whatever we do, we try to, blend it into that building and make it look like it's always been there, like you said. So.
Well, you guys are a terrific team, and you've got an Irishman here and an Englishman there. Your journey to America, kind of an interesting story. You both arrived around the same age at 16, but took different journeys here. And how you ended up in Ocean City, kind of similar. John, we were talking a little while ago. You got here because you had a friend of yours, brother, who was in Ocean City and said, hey, there's some opportunity here. And kind of the same with you, Damien. You're 16 years old. You arrived in New York City, and you grew up in Ireland, just outside of Belfast. And you thought you knew what city life was like, and then you arrived in New York City, whole different ball game.
Yeah, I thought it was a city slicker until I got to New York, and that was an eye-opener, to say the least. And hard to find a place to live, harder to find work, and afford, get through each week and each month. And then just by chance I heard about Ocean City, and we took the bus down here and didn't look back.
You know what's amazing, when you arrive here, you heard that you could get a job in Ocean City. You definitely could get work, especially in the summertime. And then you and John ended up working for the same company, and that's how you met, right?
Yeah, we worked for a construction company in Ocean City, and we did a lot of commercial jobs like hotels in Ocean City. And John was a trim carpenter, and I was in charge of drywall finishing, and that's how we got to meet. And I think it was 2-3 years into working with each other, we said, why don't we we both started a company ourselves? And that's pretty much.
We worked for that company for 2 or 3 years, and then decided I went out on my own for a little bit, and then Damien went out on his own, and then we ended up working together, and that's kind of how we got together working, and just said, let's just form our own company. So that's how it came about.
And then you start your own business, and I don't know if you haven't had work done by Celtic Nations, you know what, if you're looking for someone to do some work for you, any contracting, additions, homes, whatever it may be, renovations, you guys do a great job. And I know you pride yourself on the quality of work that you do. The jobs that you do, you spend a lot of time and effort to do what you did here at Ocean City Golf Club in Glen Riddle to make sure it's done properly.
Yeah, Bobby, at the end of the day, you're only as good as the guys you've got working for you, and we've got a lot of talented guys. James. He's an old Victorian carpenter. He knows what he's doing. Francis in the wood shop. He's a cabinet maker. He can build anything from scratch. And then you've got the rest of the guys out in the field. Mike.
Yep.
He knows how to read blueprints, build it from the start, build it from the ground up, and
they're all local guys that have been here for a long time, and they,
and they've been with you a long time.
Yeah,
as well.
they've been with us for a long time, and they got a lot of pride in their work. So.
And then you've got the up and coming like rookies that are going to be really good in construction, like Brian. He learned this trade probably 5-6 years ago.
Yeah, he did a lot of work here.
And he
on the
is
bar outside
probably the best golfer that we have in the country.
And he doesn't play much golf either.
No.
I'll tell you that there's a lot of guys that I know that own businesses that play a lot of golf. These are two guys that are partners and own a business, and they play very little golf. They are dedicated to their craft, that's for sure. I mean, you guys aren't able to get get on the golf course that often, but it's a tribute to your business. You built a great business here in Ocean City.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Yep.
Bobby, it took a while to get that reputation, but when people are paying you X amount of money, you want to give them their money's worth. You don't want to cut corners, and that's why the phone keeps ringing.
Well, let's change gears a little bit and talk about your golf journey. And Damien, you and I were talking, and when you first started playing golf back in Ireland, it was a little different. You didn't play that much, but you played at some country clubs, had some good experience. Mm-hmm. But one of the things that was unique about your beginning is the grip of the golf club. Tell me how that came about.
Yeah, so I held the club. I don't know what you call it. What you told me.
Cross-hand.
Yeah, cross-handed. And
so if a normal grip would be this way, right?
And I held it the other way for years. And actually, I was told in a batting cage when I was in there swinging, I think we were swinging at 90-mile-an-hour pitches, which I shouldn't have been in there to begin with. And the owner of the establishment came up and said, "Don't hit that, because if you hit that, you're going to break both your wrists."
Right.
So then, a summer later, one of my good friends, Tony Kern, who still lives in Ireland, you met him,
yes.
He caddied for you at Portneuf, where, by the way, he shot an 80 and 60 mile an hour.
Yeah.
It was probably my greatest round of golf. We'll talk about that later. Probably my greatest round of golf ever.
But he came over and he said, "D, if you want to take golf serious, you have to change that grip." And he basically taught me how to swing.
And one of the reasons you had that grip was because of the other sports you played in Ireland.
Yeah, well, that was Tony and I used to hurl. That's one of our sports, and that's how I would hold a hurley bat. And that's the way we were taught. And he said, you've got to differentiate the two. You have to, if you're playing golf, you got to turn your hands, and he said that's why you're only driving the ball 150 yards, and that's why you've got a 150-yard fade off the tee. So something had to be done.
Well, you know what? You made the game harder, and this game is hard enough for sure. And John, you have a little different story. You really didn't play much golf as a kid. You got here, and then obviously started hanging around Ocean City Golf Club, met Damien, and then you kind of picked up the game of golf.
Yeah, I mean, basically when I met Damien is when I started playing. Didn't really play a lot in England, even though, live about 10 miles away from Royal St George's. I mean, there's some great courses where I'm from, but just never really picked it up until I came over here. And I still haven't picked it up, actually. I'm still trying to play.
It's a work in progress for all of us. Well, I got to say, one of the greatest golf trips I've ever been on was with these two guys. And we went to Ireland, and we were able to go to the Open Championship at Portrush back before, when Rory, I'll never forget this, the first round Rory teed off, and your family was there. We were all lined up on that first fairway. It was when Shane Lowry won. And none of us bet on Shane Lowry, by the way, that year, which was amazing. And we watched Rory tee off, and all your friends were there, and he hit it out of bounds. I think he made 8 on that number 1 hole. And it was just devastating because it was, that's where he's from. Everybody was rooting for him. All his fans, his family, his friends were there. And it kind of just took the air out of the balloon right away.
Big time.
Big time.
Yeah. It was so anticipated, his first tee shot, because that's where he grew up, and he was the odds-on favourite to keep the claret jug at that side of the pond. And I think I was standing with Kevin and Declan and yourself, and Kevin said, "I think he just went out of bounds." I said, "How could you go out of bounds off this first tee hit?"
And he was in iron too.
He was hitting an iron.
Yeah.
And he was behind the 8 ball from, I think he missed the cut by 1 stroke, so he didn't.
He came back. He battled back. Yeah, he did. Well, I tell you what, we're going to take a quick break. We'll come back and we'll talk about golfing in Ireland and what that experience is like. If you've never been there, you've got to definitely put that on your calendar. Get to Ireland, play golf over there. It's absolutely different than any golf you've ever played. So we'll come back more with John Lynch and Damien McAllister after this. So stay with us.
And now a word from our sponsor.
I love a good adventure, and my friends and family do too. So we all drive Toyotas. Tacomas for my rugged buds, and Corollas for my city crew. And I drive a RAV4 that I take camping, shopping, and basically everywhere else. We all picked our Toyotas because they're reliable and efficient and have amazing resale value, saving us money now and down the road. So we can make every day an adventure. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals and inventory. Toyota, let's go places.
And welcome back to the Endless Golf Podcast presented by Toyota. Staying with me from Celtic Nations Contracting is John Lynch and Damien McAllister. Guys, we talked a little bit about your business, talked a little bit about how you got into the game of golf. And I mentioned that we took a great golf trip to Ireland several years back. We went to the Open Championship. We talked about Shane Lowry winning that and Rory obviously disappointing in that first tee shot of the Open Championship. But we had a chance to play some great golf courses and more importantly, spend some time together in your homeland. And I'll never forget when we went out at night, before we got it, after we had played a round of golf, and we went to Belfast. And, you told me, Bobby, you're in for a treat here. And we had two drivers, we had two cars. We pulled up right in town, and it seemed like the buildings were on top of you. And we got out on the street there, and there was people everywhere. It was like we're in a carnival. A very unique city and just a fun city to be a part of.
Yeah, that's Bobby. That weekend was number one. We got good weather. We get down into Belfast, and Belfast for the last 15, 20 years has been a buzzing city. Like the cuisine, the nightlife, and the people. I mean, you could attest to that they're very friendly when we were in the bars, and they know how to have fun, and they just put the icing on the cake as far as the golf trip. The golf was great, the nightlife was even better.
It really was. And John, we had a great time. And I know one of the things you and I really enjoyed was the food and some of the pastries that you have.
Oh,
I've got a picture of you always. Some of the pastries over there are just phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean, just going to a bakery and getting a fresh cream cake or something is just, I mean, I can't pass up a bakery without, going in and getting a fresh cream cake. Unbelievable.
Unless you're hungover.
Well, I'm still.
One morning that he did that.
I'll still try, but I think that morning, I did skip it. But I mean, it was just, it's just such a nice place. Belfast, unbelievable, real friendly people, and like you were saying, that the courses are unbelievable, the nightlife, the food, everything, just great. I mean,
we talked a little bit about Portneuf, which was on the other side of the state. I think we had about an hour and a half drive to get there, and we drove through the country, and it was just absolutely gorgeous. It was just like going through farmland. We saw the sheep. We get to Portneuf, it's on the other coastline, and it was absolutely gorgeous. But to your point, it was blowing at least 30 to 40 miles an hour that day.
Oh yeah.
And we had we always have a little action on the table when we play golf. And we were playing medal play, which is count every golf shot. And I did. It was amazing. I just kept everything in front of me. I was getting up and down. Kind of what you have to do on a day like that.
Definitely, Bobby. And I think the mistake that I made when we went to Portneuf was not putting my mate Tony in my cart. Because when we started, he liked you. He took off with you. And he knows every nook and cranny around that course. He grew up in Belfast beside me, but his parents had a holiday home down there, and he would always play Portneuf and all the courses around there. And when we got to the turn and I heard what you shot on the front, I said, how is that even possible in this wind? So I tip my hat to you. You learned how to play links golf really quick.
Well, I'll tell you this. Tony made a huge difference. And I've always said this, and you guys know, when you play with a caddy, if you play with a bad caddy, it can make you a lot worse. But when you play with a good caddy that can read greens and that can club you right, it makes a huge difference to your golf game. And I think that day was a good example.
And guess who my caddy was?
Who?
Declan. So that was... I think we shot triple digits.
Yeah, I mean, it's so much different over there because here, you know, being in Maryland, the courses are pretty flat, and there's so much, you know, higher, lower greens, that kind of stuff. So, like you said, having a caddy definitely helps.
And I remember teeing off at Our-Glass because
Yeah.
it was in the fog. You were hitting it to the fairway, but you couldn't really see where you were hitting it. It was,
and you're hitting
and you're hitting up
yeah.
the, yes, a lot of blind shots. So you talk about a blind shot with the fog. What a beautiful golf course that
yeah.
was. I mean,
Yeah.
that was a fun. That was
That's
a
one
fun
of my
walk the
favorites.
floor.
Yeah, Hourglass.
It really was. And then we got to play one of your home clubs as well, Balmoral, right?
Balmoral, yep. That's my good friend Declan Fennell and his father Kevin. They've been members there. Anthony and his parents, they have been members there for years, and they rolled out the red carpet for us when we got there. I think they enjoyed Curtis's company in the clubhouse. He's buying everybody drink. But no, they really enjoyed it, and I hope to see them again soon. And
I tell you what, it's always great catching up with Declan. I know he's your best friend, and he's a great man. And all the guys over there. Turney was great. They took us around. They couldn't have been a better host. We got to see pretty much everything you can see in the time we were there. We stayed at some great hotels as well. I know we didn't play Royal County down, but we stayed there. And that was kind of part of the experience. We traveled a lot. But having a bus over there, if you're going to go there and you're going to want to travel these different golf courses, take a bus. You know, we had, what was it? I think it was 8 or 12 of us.
I think it was 8 of us. But then you figure in all the golf bags, all your luggage, and the van is the way to go, I think, you know.
Absolutely. And one of the things you don't want to go, because we talked about the nightlife, it's outstanding, it's fun. You know, you're having a round of golf, you're going to share a Guinness after your round for sure when you're in Ireland, right? You do all that, have fun. But John, you know this. At Royal Belfast, you were not feeling well that day.
I was not. No, I was struggling that day, and I think we were walking. I mean, you walked.
There were no
you walk.
buggies?
Yeah,
no buggies.
No
So that was, you know, walking the course. I mean, I kind of got, you know, I kind of shaped up after the first 9, but, you know, yeah, it was a tough front 9.
Yeah,
for
to
sure.
your point, you know, nothing is flat there. You know, you're going to go through some hilly situations there. But the Open Championship, you know, you talk about getting hooked up there. We're in Port Rush, and one of your friends actually moved out of their home so we could stay there for a couple nights. And we had just a wonderful setting, and that town was phenomenal.
Yeah, that was my father's friend Cheesy, his daughter's young family. They moved back in with their parents in Belfast and let the whole golf party move into their house for a couple of days, which was, I mean, I thought it was great.
Well, it was one of my most memorable trips ever. You know, I've been a lot of great places, but I tell you, that definitely was on my bucket list. And thank you for putting it together for all of us, and having your friends and family be such a big part of it, because they were with us every step of the way, and we had a great time.
Yeah, and I really enjoy showing you guys the area, the golf courses, and the culture. And just remember, it's back there next year.
I know,
That's our next
we've been
stop.
talking about it. We could go back. So, all right, John Lynch, Damian McAllister, Celtic Nations Contracting. If you're looking for some work at your home or business, give them a call. They do great work, as I mentioned. But more importantly, you guys are good friends. Enjoy teeing it up with you. Hopefully, things will slow down a little bit so we can get you back on the golf
We're
course.
trying
You
to.
guys.
Yep.
All right.
Thank you very much, Bob.
All right,
Thank you,
guys,
Bobby.
thanks again. We'll see you next time right here on the Endless Golf Podcast. So long, everybody.
The Endless Golf Podcast has been brought to you by Toyota.